given that this is the first briefing of the new calendar year, is there a way in which you could sum up sort of what the president's top priorities are as we head into a new year, particularly given that this is the last year of his first term?
So look, the way that we see the president's, even the president's first 3 years, he's done more in the first 3 years than presidents have done in the first 2 terms, or their first 2 terms, in their 2 terms of their presidency. And that is, if you think about historic pieces of legislation, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's Ships and Science Act, whether it is, is it the Inflation Reduction Act, as I just mentioned, which is historic in nature, as we talk about clean energy and lowering prescription drugs, that is incredibly important. And what we need to do, and what the president wants to focus on, is implementing those, right? Continuing to implement those really key important legislation. That's what you're going to see the president do. Last year in his State of the Union, you heard the president speak to finishing the job, and so that is something that he wants to continue to do, right? Whether it's making sure we have veterans, making sure that unity agenda that he talked about, making sure that we're focusing on our veterans, focusing on getting fentanyl off the street, focusing on how do we deal with cancer. Those are the things that the president's going to continue to talk about. And one of the very important things in the Inflation Reduction Act is that insulin cap at $35 for adults. He wants to make sure that happens for all Americans. So there's a lot to work on. We saw the data coming out of 2023 on the economy and where the economy is headed, and how Bidenomics we believe is working because of that data. And so there's still a lot of work to do, and that's what you're going to see from this president.
Is the emphasis heavily on implementation as opposed to there being other pieces of legislation that the White House is hopeful?
I mean, look, I think when he talks about the unity agenda, there's more things to be done, right? There's more work to be done that continues on the historic, I think the historic first term that the president has had. So certainly there are more things to be done, but implementing those historic pieces of legislation is important as well.